Okay, I love that you guys chose the shade here because I too like the shade.
Oh, what's your podcast on?
It's on integrity, specifically for young men. Inspiring young men to integrity is what it's called. And I love having conversations on it and encouraging young guys in general to, engage and be.
What's your definition of integrity? Is
I
it
love-
authenticity. Or is it what is it?
One of the questions I have in my list of questions is, what is the difference between authenticity and integrity? Now, you didn't choose that question. Do you want to explore that one? The way I usually go, and I'm happy to answer that too, but let me just make sure this is going to stay for us right here. Let me start off by learning your names, if I may. My name is Binyam.
I'm Nichelle, with an N.
Nichelle.
Yes.
Nichelle.
Yes.
I've never met a Nichelle before.
Yes.
Have you?
Rare. I haven't. Other than myself.
That's amazing. Nichelle, nice to meet you.
You too.
And you are?
Alex.
Alex?
Yeah.
That's
with an A.
another unique name. That's awesome. Alex and Nichelle.
Yeah.
In my previous interview I was just having with another couple, I kept butchering her name. I was calling her a totally different name over and over. It was almost comical by the end of it, but I eventually got it. But Nichelle, I got Nichelle. So authenticity and integrity, it almost sounds like synonyms, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Do you think they are? I guess I set you up in a way that
set me up with a.
I did.
Um,
For many, it sounds almost the same thing. But here's my understanding on those two. I think authenticity is well celebrated today. Everyone's encouraged to be authentic. The difference between authenticity and integrity, authenticity is about being who you truly are. It sounds to me like integrity has more to do with here's the way you ought to be, even while you're who you are. Does that make sense? So there's like a value system in there. Authenticity doesn't really involve values. It's just I'm straight up whoever I am, whether it's good or bad. I'm just me as I am, right? And integrity is more about I want to do the right thing in community with others while being who I truly am.
okay. So being selfless while being selfish.
I love that. I almost would say be selfish first before you're selfless.
Yeah, that's what we believe too. Like, the more you can selfishly love yourself, the more you can selflessly love others.
I love it.
Because if not, you're not giving your true self to others, even though you mean well. So the more you can go in and become as selfish in the best way possible, the more you can be selfless. So, yeah, so authentic and then integrity.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I like that.
And I had to like almost redeem the word selfishness because I grew up in a context where selfishness was saying that's bad, but how to do it with balance that says, hey, I'm going to look after home base before I give home base away to others, right?
Yeah,
That's really good. Nice.
Yeah.
Look at that. We're already done. Just kidding. I love that conversation though. Nichelle, choose me a number between 1 and 15.
8.
Okay. So number 8. You have no idea what's coming here. So number 8. Oh, this is a good one. So now that we understand a little bit more about integrity, do you think that integrity is different across different cultures, or is it the same right across the board?
I would have to say that I think it's different.
Okay.
The reason being is because I think integrity kind of has like this understanding of morals. And I think in different cultures, people have different morals.
Yeah.
Right? Like you were saying how people ought to be.
Yeah.
But I think we all have a different definition of what we think that is. Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree with that. I agree, and I think adopting more types of integrity helps more with authenticity.
Beautiful.
So your answer almost facilitates what happens in a multicultural context when a whole bunch of cultures come together and like assimilate,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's like a true definition of what is right and wrong. I think
There's
it's
not
all-
one form. There's a
Right.
subjective access.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's depending on the situation, depending on the culture, depending on, there's so many different factors that go into it. And, who's to say there's one ruling answer for everything? I think that would be, yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so building up your skill base or your tool set by understanding other types of integrity is always a good tool for growth.
So then if it's subjective, would you guys say there is a definite line that you don't cross over? Because if you cross over, then it's not integrity anymore. Say like, if one commits to their values, but let's say in some way a value, some cultures have a different way of seeing women, for example. Higher, like there's a a value system, they say. Women don't have as much value, for example, as males do, right? But that's what integrity may look like for them in their culture.
Right.
Is there like a line that you guys would say, actually, this is where it's not integrity anymore?
The thing that's coming to my mind is the question of what would love choose.
Oh.
And I think we all could have a common understanding of, in all these different situations, there is a right or wrong in the sense of what would love choose, what would cultivate more connection and empathy and compassion among people. I feel like that might be kind of the line that could be drawn.
So you're saying there's like a sense of care that's transposed in integrity.
Yeah. And I think that kind of goes back to like the balance between selfish and selfless. And it's in that balancing act where we start to resonate with other people and see ourselves in other people.
I feel it's also a balancing act is if you fall too much in one set of values and you don't allow yourself to be open to other sets, you could be blinded in that your own biases that way.
Yeah.
As well. So it's good to refresh it and check yourself.
I like that. I was even thinking about myself. I am in a totally different place than I was a decade ago. And back then I thought I'm locked in for life in this present, like this is how I see the world. And so one of the things I've come to value is that we change as human beings, and hence even our understanding of integrity, right?
Yeah.
So how firm are your commitments to your form of integrity? Or do you think there's still lots of flux for you both?
That's a good question.
I think we've been diving into this evolution of change for a little bit now. We actually are just visiting Calgary. We're living in Costa Rica.
No way.
Yeah, we made that move about a year and a half ago. And we have a podcast now too, and we work with psychedelics, and we help people that way. And that's been a huge shift of ours. But it also, we're able to see that that growth of people's integrity and their authenticity through that type of medicine, and then us being able to be witness to that is also growing ours. So we're never closing our integrity into this box. It's always like, what can we pick up and what can we use to adapt, and you know what I mean? And
as we walk this path, I think we're finding too that integrity for us is more in alignment with our intuition as well. Like that once you know yourself, you almost have this sense of what you really feel is right or wrong. You know, what's crossing the boundaries, and us becoming entrepreneurs, we'd have to really like check in with ourselves to make sure we're being in integrity with ourselves, with our clients, with our business. So I think it's ever evolving, it's ever changing, but I think there's a backbone structure that's really tied to who we are as individuals. Yeah.
What are some of the primary points that you say, okay, there may be flex in our understanding of integrity, but where are the points for you both where you're saying there's no flex in our experience and commitment to integrity? That was an assumption on my part, by the way. You know, like, for example, I would say for me, from my life experience, honesty, transparency is really critical for me now. I lived for a long time without it. So even as I am flexible on many other periphery areas on integrity, I don't want to fudge this one anymore as far as honesty. So it's something along those lines.
I find being humble is a big one. I think that encapsulates everything you just said.
Yeah.
And to me, with plant medicine, it's the most humbling because you do get yourself checked whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And that helps us with clients, and that helps us with the way we perceive the world, and why we're moving in Central America and like diving into these other cultures and stuff and learning from them. It's that humbleness of like, how do I put it? It's like every day you wake up and you don't know. You know what I mean? It's and being in that like childlike state.
You're exploring.
Yeah, exactly. Like
And
a
you have
kid.
no idea what's coming.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just like this interview.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what you were saying about, you know, being honest, being transparent, I think truth is another really important thing for people to just, which is pretty much the same as what you said, but I think the more that people speak their truth and speak with vulnerability, and having, like, knowing that we don't know it all, right? Having this kind of childlike humility, I think that's really important as well. Yeah.
So like I was saying earlier, my theme in the podcast is specifically for young men. How can we inspire them towards living with having more integrity? In general, from your guys' observation, would you say young men are nailing it in the sphere of integrity, or are they facing significant challenges collectively?
Men? I was working in the oil field for over a decade, and I'd say the integrity it's not theirs, it's somebody else's.
Tell me more what you mean by that.
So it's like the set of values are set upon them, and
Society.
and nobody's changing really, and everyone just keeps following the same thing. And then within that, your viewpoints and the way you look at the world and your chance of jumping into something more uncomfortable is just like the horse blinders are on, right? And I feel I had to create my own integrity. I had to break
Discover
free.
it.
Yeah, I had to break free from that and realize.
Gotcha.
And I think that's.
So you're saying, brother, there was a storyline that most follow that wasn't theirs, but they followed it,
Yeah,
and you have to
exactly.
figure out what a different
Yeah,
storyline could be.
So having a rule set and values that aren't yours,
Yeah.
that you're following just because other people, that's a dangerous thing.
And it's
'Cause-
powerful.
Exactly, it is. So it's yeah, I don't know. It's beautiful, the men that I work with, because
Yeah.
I do work with men,
Yeah.
and to see them break out of that and to see that choice on the other side is just such a beautiful thing. And
Yeah.
when I see that, I go, okay, this is the right thing. You know what I mean? It's like seeing them become the child again, like we were saying. Like,
Yeah.
instead of having like the integrity that was instilled upon them was like when the father comes and when a child sees a hummingbird for the first time, doesn't know what it is, doesn't know where it came from,
Yeah.
doesn't know anything about it, but he's just in the pure experience of it, as opposed to when someone starts putting all the rule sets, like this is a hummingbird, this is why it comes here, this is what it feeds, and then it separates you from that, and then just follow those. You know what I mean? It starts putting labels on everything.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
I feel like there's hope, because there's a lot more men that are like opening up now and realizing that it's a safe place and we don't have to harden ourselves, and it's okay to try and fail and to
Yeah.
reach out, and if you're wrong, you can change. Like what you said for yourself, you weren't the same person you were a decade ago, and that's beautiful, because the only thing that doesn't flow and change with nature is humans. We like to become stagnant and find a comfortable spot and just stay in it.
Yeah. I think it's really hard to have integrity if you don't know who you are. And I think with all the distractions these days, we've become almost numb or in this kind of perpetual state of just going through the motions without consciously thinking about why are we doing the things that we are doing? You know, are these decisions what I'm consciously choosing to do, or is this just a like precondition, a pattern that I've just developed over time? And so I think there's a lot of hope. I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to just take a step back from all the distractions and really retreat inwards to say, who am I and what do I really want? And what's important to me? And I feel like those questions is what starts to cultivate that level of internal strength to have, you know, to stand on sturdy ground and know yourself and have integrity.
And that comes back to the selfishness, the proper selfishness, the one that we didn't get brought up with, but the real selfishness of like that true love and that inner search.
Yeah.
May I ask, what was the catalyst for you guys to discover this new epiphany in life that set you free?
Our work with plant medicine. Yeah, I myself was one of those people that followed a very linear path that society laid out. You know, go to school, get a job, start making money, and then start living life. And I did that. And then once I had everything I thought I wanted, that's when I started to feel super dissatisfied with life. I didn't feel fulfilled. I didn't feel happy despite all the materialistic wealth that I had. And in that moment is when I started to doubt the path that I was on, and I started to question, is this really what I want? But plant medicine's kind of opened me up to deeper levels of myself for me to heal new things and start to gain new perspectives on issues or patterns that I'm dealing with in my life. And so that's just kind of opened up the can, and ever since then we've been diving pretty deep into spirituality and meditation and just on the self-improvement journey. Yeah,
It was a lot of external validation and never feeling fulfilled, right? And we saw this the other day on a video. Actually, it's funny that we're talking about it today, but when I'll try not to butcher this.
That's okay.
When we're seeking for something, our mind is trying to get that thing, right? And it's like once we get that thing, then we're happy. And it ties the emotion to that object or that mindset or that relationship or whatever, right? But what's actually happening once you get that object, when you stop seeking, the happiness comes from the mind dropping out. So the mind gets to rest, and you think your happiness lies in the achievement that you gained, but really it lies in you just being in the moment and your mind resting and no longer seeking. But it comes full circle, because what you're seeking is inside. It's here to begin with, but we keep going externally like this. So with me working in the oil field, it was just all this external seeking for materialistic things and relationships, empty. And then with the plant medicines, it was accidental at first. I got rocked, and I was like, oh my God, there's something here. My belief system got shattered. I went, oh, there's actually depth and magic to the world. Okay, let's take this serious. Let's follow some practices. And then, it's been 5 years later.
And I want to say something too along this lines. I think a lot of people, they get to a certain point in their life where the pain and the suffering, it's almost like they cannot handle it anymore. Like, a lot of us wait for, a trauma or a health condition or something catastrophic to happen in our life for it to wake us up, for us to start saying, oh, my life's actually really important. I should start paying attention to what I'm doing in life and what I really want. But I think there's hope to say that people don't have to wait until you get to that point. As young men, you can start asking yourself these questions now, so that you don't have to spend your life doing something that you truly don't want to do.
Yeah, and it's okay to want to explore your reality, and it's okay to like reinvent yourself every year, every 5 years, every 10 years, right? I think that's really important. And that's not taking a step back. You know what I mean? If you uproot everything and you go backwards, or you change your career or something, that's not taking a step back. That's rediscovering yourself.
Yeah. On what you were saying, darling, hold on, let me see if I remember your name. Alex and Nichelle. There we go.
Nice.
Stress is intense. No. On a previous interview, this other interviewee, she said something that encapsulates what you said. She said, "Why do we wait for an emergency? An emergency that leads us to urgency, or something along those lines." And again, why wait for it instead of when
exactly. And I think that just comes back to, us being more conscious.
Sure.
Because I think a lot of us, sometimes we're unaware that we're unhappy until something happens. And then we almost we wake up for a minute to step outside of the bubble that we've been in the robot mode, to start actually realizing and noticing objectively our experience, to say, I'm actually not happy in my life right now. And I think that right there is one of the hardest things that people resist, is just acknowledging to themselves that there's something in their life that they're not happy about. That's a hard first step, but if you can take that step, then all of a sudden that weight of you being honest with yourself, that comes in line with integrity too.
Say you had a collective group of young men who are saying, I long for what you're talking about, but I have no way to even start thinking about experiencing it. What would you suggest as far as helpful starting points?
Healthy starting points? Microdosing is always good. That can open you up. That's what we're dabbling with right now.
And just to define microdosing, you're saying?
Psilocybin, so mushrooms.
But microdosing as in taking small...
very small amounts, so all the magic is happening behind the scenes.
Gotcha. Subperceptual.
So subperceptual. So it's opening up new neural pathways and changing your way of thinking, and tapping you into more emotional bandwidth, and broadening your cognitive awareness. And I think that's a good place to start, because it starts breaking down barriers, especially people who think they want change but put up a wall as soon as it starts happening. I would say that, and surround yourself with people who want to change as well, even if that's only yourself. That's important. And to check in with yourself, to give yourself gratitude for, to just look at yourself in the mirror for 2 minutes a day, and to tell yourself something you're proud of in this next step or in this next journey. That's important as well.
I think there's a lot of power in simplicity. I think with all of the healing techniques and all the different strategies and tools and the quick 10 steps, I think we get lost in all of that. If we could just sit with ourselves and have some sort of self-inquiry. Perhaps it's a simple meditation practice. Perhaps it's a 10 minutes a day of putting your phone down and getting rid of all the distractions and just sitting and being with yourself. I feel that is the most powerful first step. There's not a lot of people who can sit in a room for 10 minutes by themselves without any distraction at all.
Don't forget the lost art of practice. Like how much fun, if I can think back as a kid, wanting to learn a trick on my bike, and just coming home late for dinner for weeks, just trying this by myself till I got it right. And no matter how long it took, I was so happy, but it wasn't what I got at the end. It was being proud of myself for that practice. So it's
Yeah.
like that lost step in between to what you were saying. Everyone wants that quick fix at the end. But when people work out, you see people at the gym that are in great shape and they're still working out. It's because they've noticed it's going to the gym every day and treating their body like a temple is the thing. It's not the attainable image at the end, and they realize that on the journey.
Yeah.
So to understand that it's the journey and it's a long game, and you deserve that. You owe it to yourself.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think there's a quote that it says something about don't take life for granted, or don't take something what the gods made for fun. You remember that one?
Oh yeah, I won't be able to remember it.
Hold on,
Can you
I can
paraphrase?
get
Yeah,
this.
this is good.
It's like don't take for granted what the gods made for fun, saying that all of this was created for us to experience and enjoy and to play and have fun in.
Cool.
And I think sometimes we get
Oh, it's
so
Greek,
lost.
I think.
Yeah, I didn't say it well, but I think it kind
I
of
got the
captures what
gist, though,
yeah,
yeah.
and I just think like what Alex was saying, like become a kid again. An adult is usually someone who's just become very structured, and we've almost lost that
playful.
childlike wonderness and the playfulness and the laughter that is
true.
life.
So true.
You know, so
Yeah.
for the young kids, it's enjoy, like follow what fills your heart, and you will never be let down. Like you will be on the right path if you just follow your heart.
And when you're a kid and you got scraped knees, everyone loves you, right? But here now, if you're an adult and you scrape your knees or you mess up or you
Yeah.
fail at something,
Yeah.
people want to hide that, or they don't even want to attempt that. So just to bring it back.
Love it.
Yeah.
One of the things I reflect on, and I've worked with kids for decades, and working with the younger ones, especially like the primary school and like kindergartens, working with them taught me how to let loose in a way that was relatable and understandable for them. So I really, like, they can tell if you're in it or not in
Yeah.
it, right? They can tell the truth. So like actually getting right down at their level and engaging on that plane was brilliant. But I think that's what's enabled me to have so much success in the way I connect with people, especially adults in general, because I take that into like my interacting with adults. And one of the ways to help kids understand is adults are just big kids. We may have just forgotten in some
we
sense.
just forgotten.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just learn how to
Yeah.
pay bills.
Yeah.
That's it.
And it's a journey of remembering, right?
Totally.
Just
and
kind of going back home.
experiencing again and wondering and like you guys
Yeah,
were
it's
describing.
wonder. You got to,
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to get to your socials and what you guys are doing. But before I do you have any questions for me?
What made you start this podcast of integrity?
For me, it was painful, lengthy experience of living without it for decades. Living duplicitously, living codependently, living on others' agendas, other storylines again, to survive socially. But that duplicity and engaging, like, so as I interacted with my world, Alex, they felt they were getting the real Biniam. And they would show lots of love and affirmation, but I could never accept it because I was like, if you only really knew me for who I was, and you're interacting with a facade, if you will, you don't know it, but like, I wish I could feel aligned that way, and I can't. And so, at the heart of it, I would say it was dishonesty, and because of dishonesty, it brought lots of commitments. I think that so wanting to realign and seeing the costs that it would take to realign again. I said I do want to have that alignment, even though I'm not going to have access to all these things I really genuinely value and enjoy. There's a lot of people who are burned, hurt along the way, but again, just coming back to like who I am and knowing who oneself is, sitting by oneself, doing that self-exploration internally, learning again, what does it mean to be me, and what do I hold dear and valuable and sacred, and all those beautiful things, and then being able to say, here's how I want to now give myself to the world because I know who I am and I'm quite confident in where this is. That was so momentous and transformative an experience. And so I have a heart for those who are still stuck in that previous season that you were referencing earlier, especially young men, because, well, young men, actually, that's a funny one too, Alex. I don't know if I relate to young men. I don't dress like young men. I don't talk like them. But I was putting content online a few years back, and it just took off. And the primary audience was young guys, and that surprised me. They were really enthusiastic. And even in the city here, when I'm about, they still recognize me and they come up, and it just doesn't make sense. And I thought I knew social dynamics really well. That was like my sphere. So young men specifically, just because I was there once, and I'd like to see a different option so that they don't have to learn by way of last resort or rock bottom, So that's what.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a hard path. Like,
I can relate. It was 10 years of being a false self as well, but it's like that shield you were talking about. Like, you're not fully letting your real self out, but in turn you're not letting other people's full care in because it's not who you are. And I was doing that through partying and trying to show up for others instead of myself.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can vibe with that. That's a lonely place. It seems like you're surrounded by so much activity, but you're so alone.
Yeah.
So congratulations, and
Thank you.
That's good, man.
It's beautiful. I think you guys also experience it in your line of work when you see transformation with others, right? It's like you got to be a part of that, and it's that magical thing,
It's
isn't
so
it?
rewarding, yes, to see clients experience minor, big shifts, transformations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I like to. We kind of like to base it off of like not healing because that insinuates something is broken, right? And we don't need to fix a part of ourselves. So when we do stuff like shadow work, it's not revealing something that's bad. It's revealing something that's in the dark. You just haven't shone a light on it in a while.
I love it.
So you're bringing it to the surface.
Yeah.
And I had something catchy to just say right now, and I was trying to line that up.
I have those moments so often, brother.
Don't forget about that thing.
It'll come.
But with working with men, it's beautiful to see that transformation and more of them to show up to that. Oh yeah, this is what I was going to say. We say learning is synonymous with healing. So instead of all these men healing ourselves, we're all learning about ourselves. And then together collectively we can learn. And healing might be a little like mushy-gushy for some guys right at first. So it's like, let's learn about our realities together. Let's push these boundaries. You know what I mean? We push our body so much, we push our psyches, let's push our spirituality. Let's dive in. So learning is synonymous with healing as well.
And there is nothing more attractive than a man who knows himself. And that's masculinity at its core, is a man who can stand with integrity and know who he is and make conscious decisions and put himself first without the expense of anyone else, to put themselves first, and then they can start to guide and support and lead other people because they've taken the step first to go inwards.
Absolutely.
Warrior in the garden.
Love it.
Instead of the warrior in the garden instead of a gardener in the war.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Love that, yeah.
you have the abilities, but you just keep it humble and you just serve others.
You're cultivating.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And the way I thought of what you guys were saying is having options. So when you don't have options, you're kind of stuck with one narrative. But when you have options of different angles, then you have choice, and you have.
And there's always options. It might not seem like it, and especially when it's dark and it's lonely, but there's always options.
Oh, there's always a choice.
Tell me what you guys are doing. I would love to know so that my viewers can follow along too. This is awesome.
Yeah,
It's I just happened upon others who are also creating content and having a message. I would like to know
It's
more.
funny that you're pulled towards that. It's cool. It's cool. So we have a company called Our Celium.
Our celium.
Yeah. So like the mycelium network is the interconnecting.
Fungi. Or
Yeah, the
fungus.
fungi.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like the internet of the earth. So
Yes, yeah.
We call it Our Celium.
Okay.
So we have a podcast called
Please spell it.
OURCELIUM.
Thank you.
There you go.
Good.
We have a podcast called the Our Celium Podcast, and we
Okay.
talk about psychedelics, healing, spirituality, relationships,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we also do one-on-one coaching. We're certified life coaches and psychedelic integration coaches.
Yeah.
So we are going back to Costa Rica in August.
Yeah.
And
We're really supporting people who are interested in working with plant medicine, but we also see the power and potency of this medicine. It's important for people to be educated, to have the proper preparation, integration, so that they can actually cultivate the wisdom and the lessons learned in those experiences, because those experiences can sometimes feel so foreign when you come back into this reality. But we're ultimately teaching others and supporting others on the path that we walked. Plant medicine changed our life, and so that's what we're committed to doing.
So you get so much abundance in that, and you want to give it all back, right? So it's like allowing people to have that path and that proper setup for them to experience it in a healthy and safe environment, so they can grow, and then for them to turn around and give that back as well. So I'm also doing a men's microdosing course.
Okay.
So that's starting July 30th. If anyone
Here
wants
in the
to,
city.
Online.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of your work's online.
So yeah, and she's going to be doing one for women soon. But yeah, so July 30th is mine. I'm just filling up Zoom rooms.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to do a group thing and then educate these men that way, learning and exploring our realities and opening up. And
So the name of the podcast, Arcelium.
The Arcelium podcast.
The Arcelium podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent. Are you on socials as well?
We are.
Which ones?
Instagram.
Yep. Same name?
Yeah, so it'll be Nichelle.
Yes.
Ryan _.
Okay.
And then
It'll be Alex Nori _, so Noury. Yeah.
I need that spelled.
We'll probably follow you right after this. So.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's and I'll tell you where mine is too. This has been really sweet.
Yeah, thanks. We actually, just before you got here, we've been walking for hours and we said, hey, let's just sit right here for a second. And then you showed up like 30 seconds later, so that's pretty cool.
That's
funny how that works.
by design, I think.
Yeah.
Like I'm very.
Oh, I think you're.
Oh, sorry, say again.
Video capture everything.
It's got both here still going.
Oh,
so
perfect.
yeah. Thank you though. I appreciate it. The beautiful part about this is I'm very selective who I do interview. So I'm thinking in terms of who's available at their leisure. Are there any distractions around? Because it is really deep conversation, and so I'm very particular about who I do approach and say, hey, are you willing to collaborate? Because that's what we do, right? We collaborate together.
Yeah, it was a cool conversation too.
It was. I'm never in doubt about how the conversation's going to go. I think I like good connections and good conversations, but it's all about consent too and saying, are you guys okay with this?
Totally. Yeah.
But a conversation like this is not a draining one.
No.
Because I'm like giving freely and it feels good, and then you're like allowing us to talk about stuff like this. It's cool.
Yeah.
Non-draining.
Yeah. Thank you for being a part of it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I like you guys.
Cool. Yeah. What's your?
Shall I share the? Yeah. So I'll spell my name, Binyam. I'll wait for you there.
We don't have data, so maybe just put it in your notes.
Yeah, we have Costa Rican stuff, so we'll do it on Wi-Fi.
When you get
what's your
so
name?
BIN.
BIN.
YAM.
YAM.
That's my first name, but keep going with my last name. AS.
AS.
RESS.
Ooh, that's a cool
Like
name.
this, but then I'll take the space out.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So that's your name on Instagram too?
Yes, all across. Yeah, on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, you'll find me there.
Okay, so just
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
If you know any men who are interested in microdosing,
yeah, like it's all ranges of men. Like there's a father and son in my class. Like it's just 1 hour a week for 6 weeks, and I just give them like all the information because we took a course on it for 6 months.
Yeah.
To get certified, so I teach them about the neuroplasticity, all the measurable stuff first, and then we start doing practices, and then get into the spiritual of it, and it's all like journal prompts, meditation, and check-ins, and we share books and everything. So just trying to set them up to be able to do it for themselves after.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I recently, so I have a very close group of friends here in the city. Some of them are part of the burner community. And so
what community?
The burner community, the Burning Man
oh
community.
my gosh,
really?
yeah.
Yes.
That's cool.
So they've inducted me into that community as well too. And so it was 2 years ago. We went out for a retreat, just me and my small nucleus of friends. 2 of them are well versed in plant medicine. So this was going to be my first ever experience 2 years ago. So I grew up in a setting that discouraged this participation, of course. But I said, I'm in a season of life where I'm not saying no just because I've been taught to say no. I want to experience, but I need also trust there too, you know. And so it was a fantastic experience. We did what they call a candy drop with MDMA and acid. Okay, something like that. It was a fantastic experience. Last year I did mushrooms for the first time.
Yeah.
And then I followed. That's your specialty, okay. And then I went to visit my brother in Vancouver, and he just recently discovered it, and so he wanted to take me on a tour, and that was another great experience as well too. So I'm in a season again where I've experienced, I've dabbled is probably a better way of saying it, right? So I can only understand from the periphery saying, I think I get what you're talking about.
That's beautiful. That's awesome. I love hearing that.
Yeah.
I hope people are able to share that more and more, because all you're doing is saying, hey, I didn't say yes to doing mushrooms. I said yes to exploring that consciousness and surrendering.
Because the mushrooms aren't adding anything to you. It's simply unlocking the doors we already have within us. But then we have to take the step to actually walk through the door. So it's an opportunity to like meet yourself in a different way, right? It's not like we take these substances and then it just does all the work for us, right? You really have to actively engage with it, and in order to get the use out of it.
Well, that's what we teach too, not to just sit as a bypasser, like to actually
engage actively.
Proactively.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Well, if you have any questions about plant medicine, and we should definitely stay connected.
I would like that. I'm going to also connect with you guys afterwards here too.
Perfect. Yeah, because we might be working with, this is pretty new, but we might be working with a pretty prestigious facility in Costa Rica.
Okay.
So we're kind of
hoping that.
But that's where we're going to be stationed.
That's your home base now.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. How long ago did you guys move over there?
So we were staying in Mexico for a year.
Yeah.
And then we went to Costa Rica for a week, came back here, and then we're going to go back to Costa Rica.
Gotcha.
So it's still fairly new.
Drop off some more luggage, so we're just only a few things. So we got the cat.
Yeah.
And hopefully just 4 bags of luggage instead of 6.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
But it sounds like it was a hell yes transition for you guys to like leave everything familiar for the unknown.
It had to be 2 feet in.
Yes.
Because if you're only 1 foot in, you keep giving yourself excuses to not like fully commit. Like it's almost like if you jump in with 2 feet, you're ready to go. But if you don't, you're kind of half-assing it because you're like, oh, I have the safety here, and you know what I mean. But if you're 2 feet in, you're like, hey, this has to happen now. I have to put my full, and you change your meaning and purpose. And your prefrontal cortex is like, okay, this is the new goal now. It's not like half and half kind of stuff.
Same analogy of burning the bridges or the boats behind you. You're not going back kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So it had to be a fuck yes because I had like a mental breakdown. I was just not happy. And then it was like a domino effect. I quit my old job. We're like, okay, we're going to sell the house. We're like, okay, we're moving to Mexico. We're going to be coaches. We're going to get certified. We're like, let's just completely do that. It was a very scary leap.
Yeah.
We had some deep cries.
Yeah.
But on the other side of it, it's just like, now we live in Central America. So it's cool.
It's been an amazing experience.
Yeah.
I'm so happy you're
It's
past
just bravery. It's bravery and trust and surrender.
Yeah.
And like these things are like true bravery is not saying like how hard can you stand your ground. You know what I mean? It's being comfortable with surrendering.
To adapt, to be flexible because life is chaotic, and to try and control something that is uncontrollable is undoable. Right? It's impossible. So
You're here till the end of August, you said.
August 10th.
August 10th. Got it. Okay. Yeah, I definitely have some friends that I'll see if I can't make some connections along the way.
Yeah, please do. I'll send you a message on Instagram when we get
Brilliant.
Cool. And where can we find your podcast? We'll
on YouTube is where I put the full length videos. I don't do much editing as far as what happens. I just add some nice music in the back. I like that. I like my viewers being able to see everything, and that's important.
Makes them feel like they're there. If there's people walking once in a while, you know what I mean? That's cool.
Sure enough, yes. And then Instagram and TikTok. TikTok was my primary platform once upon a time, but I'm shifting now to YouTube. Eventually, that will be like the repository for most of the stuff that I do.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So good to meet you.
Likewise.
Yeah. Okay, and when I do that, you can send me your podcast.
I would be happy to.
Cool.
I'd be happy to.
Awesome. We got 2 new subscribers here.
Lovely.
Really good to meet you. Good handshake too.
Thank you, darling. I appreciate you.
Good handshake. Yeah.
Brother, nice to meet you as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My first and possibly ever only Nichelle.
Awesome.
Okay, enjoy your time here, you guys.
Oh yeah, that's a perfect timing.
We'll chat again soon.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay.
Take care.
Yeah, have a good evening.
Thank you.